Once upon a time, not really very long ago, there lived in this small Midwestern town a young man named William Blake. Like many other young men brought up in small towns, William was anxious to see what he called the outside world. I can't for the life of me figure out why William wanted to leave such a pretty town, all sprinkled with clean white houses and great green lawns planted with cool shade trees. Oh, it's true that Williamstown is just a small town, but there's really a lot to do here, and on the large farms nearby. The farms that produce much of the food that keeps you and me and other city folk alive and healthy. One of these farms belongs to William's grandparents, and it is on this farm that William spends much of his time during the long summer vacations from school. But there's William now, sitting on that cool bank by the stream that runs through the farm. There he sits, fishing and daydreaming. And there is Shivers, his dog. It's a very pretty place. I'm sure that you or I wouldn't want to leave such a delightful spot. But William is quite a man now. You see, he graduated from the 8th grade just last week. And next semester he'll be starting high school. So he feels that he'd like to travel to the big city and seek his fortune. Just daydreaming, of course. Let me put it this way. Have you ever noticed how a cow will most always try to get to the grass on the other side of the fence, even though she is surrounded by grass just as good and just as green? Well, that's how it is with people, too. We just have to see if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Most of us, the lucky ones, soon discover that the grass at home is greener, and we're glad to return. But first, most of us just have to find out. Now, that's exactly how William felt. He likes his town and this fine big farm, but his thoughts, for the moment at least, are on those greener fields over the horizon. In William's case, the city. Bill, I don't think he'd mind if we called him Bill. He's such a friendly fellow, as we'll soon see. Well, Bill has been mighty restless since school closed for the summer, and he feels that he'll simply explode if he doesn't get to the city pretty soon. Although I must say he doesn't look at all restless here, stretched out in the field, looking up at the sky and finding all sorts of pictures in the clouds. That's a wonderful way to think things out. I'm sure you've all tried it. It's fun at night, too, to lie flat on your back and look up at the stars. Sometimes, especially on Monday nights, they say, you can see shooting stars. But I'm getting away from my story. Looking at Bill so nice and comfortable makes me drowsy. Pardon me. You know, I'll bet he falls asleep and forgets all about that nonsense of seeking his fortune in the city. Oh, I guess not. Well, let's watch and see what he does.
Shivers, I've made up my mind. Yes, sir, I've made up my mind. I'm going to the city today. Right now, in fact. Let's see. $1.73. That'll take me a long ways, I've got these sandwiches, too. I'll be a man of action, as Grandfather says, and start out right now. Shivers, you stay here. The city is no place for a country dog. Go on, you run along home.
Good day, my young and healthy friend. Whither are you bound? To yonder great city, perchance? Come and visit with a tired, lonely old traveler for a spell.
Why, hello. Oh, forgive me for staring. I don't mean to be rude. but I must say you startled me.
Oh, come now, my dear young sir. There's no reason why I should startle you. It's just that you don't know me. Do stop for a moment. As I was about to say, you don't know me yet. Lots of people find me a delightful companion when first they get to know me. But alas, I don't seem to be able to keep my friends for very long. I try so hard to make people happy and gay, but I guess my spirits are much too strong for them. That's a joke, boy.
A joke? You are a funny fellow. But you really don't seem like such a bad sort. If you had a bath and some clean clothes, you might look halfway decent.
A bath? Clean clothes? Sir, don't mention such things in my presence. I can see that you're a country boy. Don't you know who I am?
You do look familiar. Let me see. Haven't I seen your pictures in the magazines or on the billboards?
To be sure, thousands of times. There are a lot of news items and stories about me, none of them very good. But in the paid advertising on the billboards and the magazines, you'll see some very nice pictures of me, but not how I look now. After all, I've been sick.
I think I remember. Isn't your name Whiskey?
That's right. You're a lot smarter than I thought you were. That's my name, all right. See? If you look closely, you'll see it written right here on my shirt front.
Sure enough, I can see it. But what are you doing here by the road?
I can see you have a lot to learn. Well, first things first. In answer to your question, I was traveling along in a beautiful car with a fine fella from the city. He was on his way out here for some fishing, and he brought me along to keep him company. And because of me, he smashed up his car. Right over there. Now, he's in the hospital. And here I am, walking, mind you, all the way back to the city. Some people are so ungrateful.
This is all very mysterious. I've never seen anybody like you where I live.
And just where might that be?
Williamsboro, just a few miles down the road.
Oh, that place. My friends and I are not allowed there. The citizens think we bring too much trouble. Let me tell you right here and now that things are getting very bad for me and my friends all over the country. There are so many places we're not allowed anymore.
Well, it's been nice meeting you, but I must get along. I want to get to the city before dark.
Well, I'm on my way to the city, too. Do you mind if I come along as sort of a companion? I could keep you company and point out things of interest along the road.
Well, I guess it would be all right. My father said I should be very careful with whom I make friends. But I don't see any harm in just walking along together. Think you can keep up with me? I'm a pretty fast walker.
Don't worry about that. Whenever I make a friend, I stick right with him as long as I can. In fact, I've had many friends who just couldn't part with me.
These friends of yours that just couldn't part with you, where are they now?
Unfortunately, many of them are sick, and quite a few have died. It's very sad. We were all so merry for a short while, and then the friends who are still living turned against me. Oh, I've caused a lot of trouble in my time.
But don't you have other friends, like yourself?
Oh, sure, there's Brother Beer and Cousin Wine and Uncle Rum, but we never mixed very well as a family. But let's talk about you. Why do you want to leave this nice countryside for the city? If I had to do it all over again, I think I'd just be plain Mr. Soda Pop and lead the good life. Dear, I'm afraid it's too late for that now.
I haven't decided what I want to do when I'm a man. Of course, that's not very far off. What kind of a job I'd be happiest doing? And I thought that being in the city would give me a chance to look around and find something interesting.
To be sure, to be sure.
Hey, just look at that train. Now that would be fun, to be the engineer of a locomotive like that. How would that suit you, Mr. Whiskey?
Oh, I'm afraid I could never be your companion in the cab of a locomotive. No, the railroad companies would never allow that.
Why not?
Well, they have rules and regulations that say their engineers must have clear heads and sharp eyes. And there's no place for a poor old whiskey in a setup like that.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh, it would be great fun to be at the throttle and go zooming by the countryside and over the prairies and across the mountains. Well, maybe you could ride in as a passenger.
No, that doesn't work well either. Some of my relatives have, but there are certain states where we're not allowed, even as passengers.
Oh, don't carry on so, Mr. Whiskey. Maybe you could be my companion doing something else.
Could be, but I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it.
Hey, that would be a fine position to have. A pilot on a cross-country plane. Hey, that'd be even more fun than running a train. Can't you see yourself way up above the clouds, soaring over the mountains, flying over the country, and swooping in for a graceful landing?
Stop it! Stop it! You're making me all nervous and dizzy. I could never be your companion on a plane. That would be even more impossible than being with you on a train.
Why?
Rules and regulations again. Always rules and regulations. They say I impair the judgment and dull the senses. And they have very strict rules about letting pilots come in contact with me. It's unheard of. No, we'll have to try something else. Say, do you mind if we rest for a while? I'm all out of breath. Just here by the side of the road for a minute or two. But hold on a minute. Mind if we cross over? I'd rather not walk by that church.
That's about the silliest thing you've said yet. You need the church. We all do. Without the church and what it stands for, we'd have nothing.
That might be all right for you, but religion and I don't mix. Those pastors are among my greatest enemies. I've lost a lot of my old companions when they've turned from me to the church. Mind if we cross over? I'll meet you over in that other corner. This'll do. We'll rest here.
Just for a minute or two. Here, have a sandwich. What you need is some food.
No, I have no stomach for sandwiches. Indigestion, you know. Whiskey and food just don't mix. Please put it away.
Hey, look out there where those miners are coming up from work. Now, there's a worthwhile job. Without those miners, we wouldn't have any coal or ore. And without those things, we wouldn't have any industry. No cars, no planes, trains, stoves, buildings. Why, we wouldn't have anything.
They'd never let me underground. The miners say I'm too dangerous. But do you know? A lot of my friends are underground. Way under. Right over there.
I must say I don't think much of your humor. Come on, let's get a move on. We've got to get to the city.
Hey, take it easy. Let's sit down for a spell.
Oh, you're always tired. Maybe if you did a little exercise, well, you might try baseball or football, or look over there at that beach where those people are swimming. Say, that would make you feel real fine. Those waves would pep you up, and the nice cold water would clear your head.
Never. You must think I'm an awful sissy, but I never did have any place in sports, and athletes spurn me like the plague. Same old story. I interfere with muscle and bone and timing and endurance. You're making me feel very bad. I sure will be glad as I can be, when we reach the city and I can get home. You should see where I live. That's where I have lots of friends. Yes, sir, lots of friends.
where do you live and what are your friends like? If you'll pardon me, you seem so particular.
It's not that I'm so fussy. It's the others who shy away from me and push me about and generally make my life miserable. Just like so many people say I make their lives miserable. Me, whiskey. There's no justice. Why, just the other day, a dear companion of mine took me home, and his wife raised the roof. Complained of me making her husband spend all his money on me. On me. Just imagine. Why, he didn't spend any more money on me than he did on my kinfolk, wine, rum, and beer. And then she had the nerve to take me by the neck and throw me out of the window. I still have the bruises. Look. The other day I passed my ex-companion on the street, and he avoided me. Cut me dead. No wonder I have complexes.
Well, it seems to me that you would change your way of living.
Well, if I did that, I'd never come in contact with people. I'd never have any companions.
From what you've told me, I'd say people would be a lot better off if they never came in contact with you.
Why, that's not a bit polite. I'm really quite a gay fellow. Look.
Just look at that big ship. Now, that would be a fine life. Captain of a ship with all the sea and oceans as highways. Think of all the fun it would be to travel and see strange lands and romantic islands.
It makes me seasick even to think of such a thing. If I can't be your companion on a train or a plane, it certainly stands to reason that I couldn't be with you on board a ship. No, I could never be responsible for all those people on board. Now, come on. I'm beginning to feel a bit better. Pretty soon we'll be home now. Just smell that lovely fresh soot.
It's a fire you smell over there. Why, the whole building is ablaze. And a very important job for you. A fireman. How would you like that?
You know I could never be companion to a fireman. They say I've not the nerve for it, and I'd soon ruin your nerves and strength. No, that's not the job for us. Anyway, I hate water. Well, here we are, almost home. I think I'm going to feel better. I have friends here.
This is your home? What? All those people look sick and everything is so dirty. I don't see how anyone could live here. Why, there's a man over there in the gutter.
That's an old friend of mine. We've been companions for a long, long time. These are all my dear good friends.
I think I'd better get out of here. I've seen
Oh,
enough.
come now. It's not as bad as you think. These are really fine companions. Let me introduce you to one of my oldest friends. Right down this alley. Come on. Hello there, my friend. How are you? I have someone I want you to meet. This is Bill. I'm going to be his companion while he's in the city.
Oh, it's you, is it? I thought I'd gotten away from you. If I wasn't so weak, I think I'd break your miserable neck. Ah, so you think you found a new companion, huh? Well, not if I have my say. Young fella, you get out of here before it's too late. This, Mr. Whiskey, never be your friend. In the beginning, he'll pretend to be. Make all sorts of grand promises, but in the end, he'll have all your health and all your money and might even make you a slave. Get out of here, boy, and fast.
Rubbish. That's no way for you to talk. Don't listen to him, Bill.
Look, Mr. Whiskey, or whatever your name is, I don't like it here. I'm gonna leave.
That's right, boy. Get out of here. Yeah, you've seen the men on the street. There are countless thousands of us who have listened to his promises. And look at us now. All men of extinction. Go on home.
Just a minute, my dear young sir. I don't give up so easily. Friends are hard to find, and I insist that we be companions.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Get your hands off me. Shivers. Oh, Shivers, am I glad to see you. What a terrible dream I had. It was a dream, I think, but at the same time it seemed so real. Boy, I'd never want a companion like that old Mr. Whiskey. No, sir. You know, isn't this the most beautiful place in the whole wide world? Come on, let's go see what we're having for dinner. Come on.
Well, there's one who got away from me. But I'll keep trying.
Oh my. Got lulled into this drunken stupor watching Mr. Whiskey talking to our young hero. Such an amazing film by the Women's Temperance Council, I think, or Women's Council on Temperance Christian. I can't remember what the WTC stands for, but really such a ham-fisted talk about alcohol and comparing the big city, the evils of the big city. That's where alcohol lives, and not in the little idyllic rural town. Yeah, really quite an amazing film. I'm Skip Elsheimer, and welcome to our lunchtime streaming event. I do something called AV Geeks. I collect old 16mm educational films and just added another 60 to the collection last week, thanks to people who are cleaning out their closets and downsizing, spending this time kind of clearing things out. And so I got some people who sent me some things that hopefully we'll see at some point. We'll see what happens. This is the beginning of week 13 that we've been doing this, and this is a opportunity for us to show the films from our collection, but also give you a break, like an hour-long break during lunch, to where you're not watching the news, current events, and you're just kind of watching old films and laughing at them and, you know, just being goofy. It's hard to be goofy nowadays. This next film is teaches us to hone our listening skills. It's a listen well, learn well. Enjoy.
This is the story of how our class discovered how to listen. It began one day when we were playing a game, a listening game. We were going to try to identify different sounds on the record. Would you like to try it with us? Listen.
It's a train.
Is this what you thought of when you heard the sound? Well, that's what Jerry saw. Let's go on to the next sound. Ready?
That's a car.
Yes, a car. But why was Jerry always first to catch the sounds? Did Jerry think listening was important? Yes, he did. Why, just the other day, Jerry learned how to hold a hammer the right way by listening carefully to what his father told him. And on the way to school, listening is important too. Sounds can tell you that the streets are slippery and you have to be extra careful. By listening, Jerry found all sorts of interesting things he might have missed. He found birds.
Hi, Jerry.
He noticed friends because he listened. Yes, Jerry thinks listening is very important. But how does he listen? How can all of us listen? We decided to try an experiment to find out how to listen. Betty offered to try first. She was going to do this. She was going to listen to the next sound from the record player and also think about how she listens. And this is the way Betty listened. She heard the sound from the record player. But she listened to other things at the same time. She listened to sounds from inside the classroom. And she listened to sounds from outside the classroom. And it was all a jumble as she listened to all the sounds at the same time. She couldn't identify the sound on the record. Now, how had she listened?
I listened to everything, and I just got confused. I tried to soak it all in, like a sponge.
Yes, listening like a sponge. But is it a good way to listen? Though you soak up everything, when you try to think about it, it is still confused.
That's no good. Not for listening, because I didn't guess the sound. Maybe if I tried again, tried hard to listen just to the record. It's a typewriter!
You see, Betty can select the important sound if she tries, and so can we. Bill was thinking about how he listened. He wanted to try out his listening habits. So we began a new sound. Bill started to listen to the sound, but then Bill listened to first one sound, then another sound.
Me too. Golly, this is a new game. Yeah, boy, isn't it fun? We should get played every day.
wasn't Bill able to identify the sound from the record?
Well, I guess I jumped from one sound to another, like a grasshopper.
Yes, listening like a grasshopper, jumping from one thing to another. Is that a good way to listen? Because though a grasshopper jumps to many things, does it stay with any one thing long enough?
I didn't. Not long enough to guess the sound anyway. Let me try again. I'll bet I can stick with one sound. That's an airplane.
Yes, Bill can keep on listening to the important sound by trying. Can you? And then I noticed Sally. She didn't seem to be playing our game. Would she try? But even before I started the record, I could see that Sally's thoughts were far away again. She didn't seem to hear the record at all. Thinking about other things kept her from listening. Sally didn't guess the sound. She really hadn't even heard the sound.
It wasn't long enough. I guess I was thinking about something else. I pulled myself in like a turtle, and I didn't listen.
Like a turtle. But is that a good way to listen? Doesn't a turtle miss a lot?
Well, I think you shouldn't listen like a turtle. I think I can keep myself from thinking about other things if I try. May I hear that record again?
It wasn't easy for Sally to keep her mind from wandering. Not at first. But suddenly she saw...
Indians! I did it!
Yes, she did it by picturing the sound in her mind. Well, that's how we discovered a great deal about listening. Before long, we had worked out some suggestions about how to listen well. First, pick out the important sound. Remember how confused Betty was until she did this? Don't be like a sponge. Second, keep on that sound. Don't let other sounds make you jump around like a grasshopper. And third, try to picture that sound. Think what it means. Remember how that helped Sally? Well, those were the suggestions we worked out. Then we were ready to try them out in listening to a story. Would they help us understand the story better? Will they help you? Why don't you try them with us as we hear the story?
It was a happy summer for Charles because although he was only a boy, he was doing a man's job. Charles lived in a foreign country. You might guess what part of the world he lived in if you heard him saying goodbye to his mother. On his way to where he worked, Charles often enjoyed listening to he climbed up a steep path where often he heard and sometimes he heard this sound. Finally, he reached the place where he worked. Can you guess what his work was? There were no other people there, but Charles was never lonely because all around him were his friends who made sounds like these.
Can you picture this boy? What work does he do? Who are his friends? What other sound clues did you hear? Now what picture do you see? Is this what you saw? Are you discovering how to listen?
Are you discovering how to listen? I would like to think that we all are. Yeah, it's great. I remember the record player in school. I have fond memories of that, and specifically the Hokey Pokey. That was great joy in gym, PE. So this next film is a hygiene film, dental hygiene film, and it's actually pretty novel. I have a couple that are pretty great, and this one features, well, I'll let you try to guess who it is. It's a voiceover, and so you try to figure out who it is, but this is a lot of fun. It's The Haunted Mouth.
This film was made possible by a grant from the Colgate-Palmolive Company, worldwide leaders in dental research and oral care products.
I've been waiting for you. Yes, you, with the teeth. But allow me to introduce myself. The name is Plaque. B. Plaque. That's B for bacterial. Actually, I already know you. Oh, yes, very well. Especially your mouth. I'd venture to say I know your mouth better than you do. I should. I live there. It's quite comfortable, really. Warm, cushiony, and it has everything I want. Your teeth and gums. Oh, didn't you know? I deal in tooth decay and gum disease. And I love my work. You can't see me, of course, because I am invisible. An invisible film, to be exact. A most satisfactory arrangement for me. I find it a decided advantage for collecting these. But come, take a closer look. Closer. Don't be afraid. They don't bite. Not when I get through with them. These belong to a lovely young girl with a craving for sweets. The gooier, the stickier, the better. The better for me, Plaque, because my invisible film is infested with hundreds of millions of bacteria that thrive on all those sticky, gooey, sweet things you eat. I spread them along the gum line at every crevice, inside and out. When they get together with the sugary remains on your teeth, they produce devastation. A decay acid that can eat right through the enamel to the very heart of your tooth. See what I mean? Now, this young fellow had an unfortunate failing. He could never remember the right way to brush his teeth. My bacteria had a ravenous time in his mouth, especially between his teeth. Like here. Of course, dental floss was too much trouble. Oh, once in a while. But every day, not a chance. But this is my prize. Perfect. Not one single cavity. Yet I got it just the same. I spread gum disease. Here and here. All around that tooth. But since the owner didn't see her dentist regularly, she didn't realize it until her gums were so weak, they couldn't hold on. It was that easy. That's the trouble. You make it too easy. All you care about is your hair, your clothes. You don't really care about your smile, about using an accepted fluoride toothpaste. You make destroying your teeth so easy, there's no excitement in it. No challenge. Look, I'll make you a sporting proposition. I'll show you how to beat me at my own game. And you won't do it. That's right. I'll show you exactly how to protect your teeth and gums from me. And I'll still win. I know you. Oh, maybe you don't think I'm in your mouth at all. Then take this disclosing tablet and see for yourself. Now, look in the mirror. See where it's turning red on your teeth? That's me, B. Plaque, in your mouth. Think you can fight that? I dare you. Look. These are your basic ammunition. Kid stuff, right? Don't be fooled. Without them every day, you haven't got a chance. Take the toothbrush, but not just any toothbrush. One with a flat brushing surface and soft bristles rounded at the end. And you'll need a fluoride toothpaste, but not just any one. A fluoride toothpaste accepted by the American Dental Association. Remember that. If you want to be sure your toothpaste not only cleans your teeth, but also makes the enamel stronger, more resistant to decay acid. Personally, I'm against it. Now, let's see you brush to remove plaque. Oh, marvelous. You'll never get rid of me that way. You have to angle the bristles against the gum line. There, where the teeth and gums come together. That's right. Now brush back and forth with short, vibrating strokes, as if you're polishing each tooth. Gently, though. Now, that's better. Clean like that outside. Now, inside. I don't know why I bother. You'll never remember anyway. Now, scrub up and down with the tip of your brush. Inside your front teeth. Up and down. Up and down. Little short vibrating strokes like before. Yes, and don't forget those chewing surfaces. Well, not just there. Get all the way back. Well, not that well. Want your teeth to last forever? Okay, now finish the job. If you prefer not to spend a couple of extra minutes a day using dental floss, I shall be eternally grateful, since that's how you could get rid of what the brush missed between your teeth. Now, slide the floss between two teeth. Then up gently. Gently, I said. Just under the gum line. Then scrape the tooth away from the gum. Be sure you scrape away from the gum so you don't injure it. That's simple enough, isn't it? Keep going, scraping carefully until you've done both sides of every single tooth, top and bottom. You'll be denying me some of my best hiding places, places where I do my work undetected. If you'd brush and floss like that every day, I couldn't touch you. Because it takes me 24 hours to start trouble. But let an entire day go by without a thorough brushing and flossing, and no one can stop me. No one but a dentist. Those regular checkups ruin my plans every time. It's a dentist who can remove the plaque you miss when it's turned into hard, destructive calculus. It's a dentist who can apply special strength fluoride directly to your teeth. A dentist. Oh, one of these days. It's time. Time to put you to the test. To find out how much you've learned from our little meeting. Learned about me, about yourself. Tell me, how's your sweet tooth? Indulge yourself. Have some chocolate and caramel and all the sticky, gooey, sugary food you want. Why not? It's only your teeth. Lollipops, cake, donuts, jelly, jam, cookies, marshmallow. Oh, don't run away. Don't be a fool. Running away won't help. It won't help. Won't help. I told you. You can't run away from me. There's only one thing you can do. Fight me. Fight me every day. I've shown you how. Now let's see you do it. Let's see you beat me. It's so easy. So easy. But I know you. You won't do it, will you? Will you? You won't do it, will you? Will you? Will you? Will you?
Yes, Cesar Romero. You guys called it. Better known as the Joker on the 60s Batman TV show. Probably one of the better Jokers in my humble opinion. And also he was in a bunch of films, feature films, as a hot Latin actor. Yeah, check him out. It's pretty great. I had made the mistake at some point assuming that that place that was filmed was the Magic Castle in Los Angeles. I have since been to the Magic Castle, and I realized, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with it. I don't know where that was, but yeah. So I should just say thank you so much. We've added a link to buy AV Geeks coffee. AV Geeks runs on coffee, basically. It is the great lubricating force that just keeps us going and chugging away. And so this is my cup of ambition coffee. And thank you to Kevin Marshall and S. Proggy, Susan, for keeping us running. You don't have to donate, guys, but it's very much appreciated, and it is something that I will use. Basically, it's PayPal, and then the money goes, and then I buy coffee locally or online. All right, so, and I brew my own coffee. I don't go to Starbucks or anything like that, because I brew my own coffee. And I drink it black with a little bit of cinnamon. All right, so this next film talks to you about you and your work. This is a film made in the 50s and is trying to get high school students and trade school students and college students used to the concept of working and what it means. So here's you and your work.
Hello, Barlow speaking. Yes. Someone to work part-time? Why, yes, I'll send someone down to see you. Someone who'll do the caliber of work you expect. Goodbye. Work. There's a word that's used much more than it's understood. As counselor here at our school, I get to hear and see a great deal about work and what it means. Good work, fair work, poor work. I'd like to tell you about a certain student who was here about 5 years ago. His experience has important meaning for you. When Frank Taylor started in his first real job, he had only a vague idea about work, his responsibility to his employers, and to himself. But suppose we let Frank tell his own story.
It all started with a sign in the window of Canfield's shoe store. Sounded good, a chance to earn money for some of the things I wanted. So I talked to Mr. Canfield. We got along all right, and, well, I got the job. It wasn't bad for a week or so, but then I began to get bored. It was just put shoes away, day after day. Put shoes away. Put more shoes away. Nothing ever broke the routine. All I did was put shoes away. And then the pay I got. Huh. That wouldn't buy many of those things I wanted. The shoe business was no good. And just because I got to work a half hour late now and then, I didn't understand why Mr. Canfield should get mad. When I had a customer, it was tiny shoes on big feet. These didn't look right. These didn't fit right. These were too expensive. These hurt her feet. Boy, some of those people really made me sick. I didn't last very long. But then it was only a job. I figured I could get another job through the school guidance counselor.
Well, Frank, I've looked over your school grades. I've checked the results of your personality and aptitude tests. I've spoken to some of your teachers. I think I have a job you should be able to fill.
That's great, Mr. Barlow.
The job I have in mind is at Mr. Canfield's shoe store.
What is it, Frank?
Well, I don't think Mr. Canfield would hire me.
Why not?
Because he just fired me. Haven't you got a different job, maybe, somewhere?
Just a minute, Frank. If Mr. Canfield fired you, you might have the same sort of trouble somewhere else. Would you like to tell me about the job and what happened?
Well, nothing happened. The job was just dull and routine. The same things every day. I was just bored with it.
You know, Frank, I don't think there is such a thing as a dull job. But suppose you tell me what you think is interesting work.
Oh, I think it would be exciting to be an architect or an airplane pilot.
Yes, those can be interesting jobs. Or they can be dull and routine, too, depending on your mental attitude. Why do you suppose an architect finds interest in his work?
Because he does something important. Designs houses and buildings and bridges and lots of things.
Yes, an architect does help to make things that people need. And he can look with pride on the completed structure. And the pilot provides transportation that people need. He can be proud of his skill and his record of safe flying. But what about, a teacher? Can't she be proud of her service to the community? Are druggists important? Where would you be without them? Or without fishermen? Or chemists? Or bank clerks? Or shoe salesmen? Don't they do something useful, something important for people?
Look, Mr. Barlow, I didn't take that job to do anything important. I just wanted a little spending money.
Any job, piloting a plane or selling shoes, is as important as you make it. If you think it's not important, whatever it is, you'll soon become bored with it and do it poorly. To enjoy your work, you'll need to find in it more than money. You'll need personal satisfaction, pride of accomplishment, a sense of importance to others. Whether it's a part-time job after school or a lifetime career. And as for money, well, we all want money. But if you don't perform any service, or if you don't do your work well, you can't expect much in return, can you?
Why, guess not.
If your work is to profit you, it must also profit your employer and profit society.
But how can you do a job well if it isn't interesting?
It wouldn't be much of a job if you couldn't find something interesting about it. Here, these are records of former students I helped get started in jobs. Most of them used to think very much as you do about jobs, but I'd like you to know what they think of their work now.
Russell's my name. I'm a carpenter. That's work I really enjoy. Have you ever felt the smoothness of a board after you've planed it? Have you ever smelled fresh-cut wood? Have you ever made something with your own hands? You can't help enjoying work in which you can take a real pride.
I'm Ed Kane, farmer. I suppose I started farming in the first place because I like the open air and the soil. But there's more to it than that. The hard work of plowing, planting, cultivating, all leads to the harvest that means success to me and food for people throughout the world. So to me, there's real satisfaction in farming.
Dottie Grant is my name. I'm a secretary. To some people, that means just numbers and letters, taking dictation and typing. Well, it's more than that to me. The work that passes through my hands means work for men in factories, keeps railroaders busy shipping our goods, and gives salesmen something to sell. My job is important to many people, and to me. I'm glad to say that I enjoy doing it as well as I can.
Enjoy doing it as well as you can.
You see, Frank, there are many ways of looking at a job, any job, with pride and pleasure. All right, now let's see what other job we can find for you.
Or, Mr. Barlow, do you think Mr. Canfield would take me back if you asked him to? Well, after Mr. Barlow talked Mr. Canfield into giving me another trial, I found new interest in that job. It was easy to get to work on time, and when I really applied myself to my work, there was nothing dull or routine about it. It wasn't long before I began to see how much other people depended on fellows like me to give them properly fit shoes. Shoes that would wear well and look well. I became proud of the fact that I was building a circle of personal customers, people who came to me regularly for all their shoes. So in him, Mr. Canfield was willing to give me more responsibility and more pay. It was no longer just a job. Because I had found interest in my work, naturally I did better work. I became more valuable to Mr. Canfield and to his customers, and of course, to myself.
Well, that's the story. Almost. That was 5 years ago. The reason I told you about Frank Taylor is that he called me just now. He needs a part-time helper. You see, he's manager of Canfield Shoe Store now. Does this begin to sound like fiction? It does happen. It happened to Frank because he found interest in his work and satisfaction in doing it to the best of his ability. Every day, someone, somewhere, learns that more money and more satisfaction are the result when you stop thinking about just the job and begin thinking about work.
You got that? It's a beautiful film. It's another example of that sometimes Cornet would put things out on Kodachrome, and so the colors are just vibrant and don't fade. Of course, later they started using cheaper Eastman color or Ektachrome, which begins to fade to red. And when you look at a can of the film, I'm sorry I don't have one handy, it would actually have the price for color and black and white. So there would be black and white versions of these, which would be much cheaper, probably half the cost. And I feel like the films are going between $200 and $400. And so you're getting the film, but you're also getting a license to show the film. And that was the deal. That's how Cornet made money. So anyways, so many people, thank you so much for caffeinating me. This is glorious. William, thank you so much. And all you guys have been longtime supporters and like coming and showing up, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much. Cynthia, Jeffrey, all you guys, thank you so much for Kevin, Susan, of course, before, for caffeinating me. I will not drink it all at one time because my heart will explode. Speaking of hearts exploding, this next film is basically it was shown, again, to people in trade school, high school, and showing different careers. And this is actually aimed towards African Americans who are looking for different careers. And we showed one on being a stewardess, which was really great because it kind of gave you an idea of what it was like to fly in the late 60s, early 70s. This one is air traffic controller. I think in the subtitle is "Don't Call Me, I'll Call You." So here's air traffic controller. You can learn how to be in what you have classes you have to take to be air traffic controller. So here we go.
Aviation, third line at the west rooftop, 12603. Traffic is a Sikorsky crossing east and southeast bound.
Frank, I just got a call from the police aero squad. They've got a lost child up in Baldwin Hills, and they want to scramble a helicopter on an emergency run to try and find him. They want to check in with you and get on radar so that you can give any assistance that you might have.
How soon is he going to call?
Well, he'll be calling you probably in about 2 or 3 minutes. They're scrambling now. They think the child might be hurt, so they want to get up there right away and see what they can find.
Okay.
Okay? Let me know when you get him in so I can check in with him.
Okay. L861 traffic at 12 o'clock a mile eastbound of Bell, over. Police 1, Los Angeles helicopter control. Say your present position. Police 1, roger, radar contact. Be advised there are 2 helicopters up in the Baldwin Hill area at the present time. What time do you estimate being up there, over? 3 minutes, roger.
Minute 7508, that's approved.
Okay, remember on that gate 48, when those guys push off on the taxiway, they block it completely. You're going to have to either go to the right or to the left to get around them, one way or the other.
768, there's company traffic over the Coliseum inbound. L866, company traffic a mile east of the regional office eastbound.
PSA 112, taxi straight ahead through the helicopter pad.
Traffic is Frank Boone's business. Air traffic. He handles an operation every 50 seconds.
Clipper, correction, American 60, Los Angeles Tower, cleared to land runway 7.
From this tower, he controls each plane from the moment it begins to taxi toward the runway until the moment it leaves the ground on the way to the cities of the world.
But answer 221, push 222, taxi runway 24. It's Pan American. Who's the Cherokee just cleared 25 right? Steve, you,
Frank Boone controls traffic at one of the nation's largest international airports. But every morning on his way to work, he fights traffic, just like everybody else.
Clipper 502, taxi up behind the transfer. Okay. That's affirmative, Clipper. Follow that aircraft, please. You're now number 3 for departure. And don't call me, I'll call you.
Yes, cross the right, ground 121.
PSA 23, eastbound on taxiway U, north of Transwell, satellite chicken nurse. Contact the tower 120.8.
Roger. 823.
Yes.
LA ground,
Just a moment.
He's going to United, it's 72.
39 Yankee, you come off runway 24?
Affirmative.
Okay, taxi southbound on taxiway 49. Are you familiar with that?
No, not really. That's straight ahead.
American 156, cleared for takeoff. United 8002, cleared for takeoff. American 156, roger, plan 25, left, call for taxi. PSA 255, south of satellites, taxi runway 24. Clipper 502, follow the transfer of jet ahead coming out of airplane, over.
One time, fire.
Clipper 502, affirmative. Taxi straight ahead there, turn right at the second angle. Clipper 502, taxi into position, runway 7 left and hold. United 7501. Affirmative, hold in position.
American 12, rolling.
Negative, that's cross the left and taxi into position, runway 7 right and hold. I told you that before. Affirmative, hold in position, please. Cross runway 7 left and hold short of 7 right. There's traffic on final. Clipper 502, taxi into position 7 right and hold. Western 795. Hold in position, over.
Tiger 454, you copy? Hold. Stop, in other words.
Cross the runway now, Clipper. I told you before, please. Cross 7 left and hold short of 7 right. Clipper 502, taxi to runway 25 right, taxi north satellites westbound, over. Clipper 502, you're now cleared for takeoff. Clipper 502, contact departure control, fly away, Big Bird. Have a good day, over.
Within minutes after takeoff, Frank Boone's responsibility for Clipper 502 is ended. He turns it over to the Air Traffic Control Center, which controls long-range traffic for the entire area.
Altimeter 3020, 1080 to Cloud.
Western 315, Los Angeles approach control radar contact. Maintain 7,000, altimeter 3021. Wind 270 degrees 5, altimeter 3021.
Frank Boone has a job with great responsibility. How did he get it? He received his first training as an air traffic controller in the Air Force, which he joined after graduating from high school. He was retrained by the Federal Aviation Administration after his discharge from the Air Force. And before starting his present job, he was trained again, this time on the job at an air traffic control station in California. It's a tough job to get. Most responsible jobs are.
324, runway 25 left and cleared across the right of east end, right is closed.
It's a great film. I like it for a couple of reasons. One is it really gives you this kind of inside look at what a day in the life of an air traffic controller is. There's others in this series. There's one on being a commercial photographer. There's one on being a franchise owner. And I think the franchise is, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the company. It's Fudgy the Whale. It is, it's based in, it's like New York, Northeast. Gosh, Fudgy the Whale, Cookie Puss. Oh man, I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Anyways, that's the franchise. And there's also one for TV producer. It's really, it's interesting because it features people of color in those positions, but it also just shows you like what the job is about and what it would take to get into that job and how grueling it is. There's one for a machinist as well. Now, about lamb. This next film is how wonderful lamb is. What you need is more lamb in your diet. Thank you, Ross, for the coffee. And thank all of you guys. That's really sweet. Here I am in my little basement and people are sending me coffee. So thank you so much for that. So here's lamb. Now about lamb. I have some delicious recipes.
Whether it's done by the day, by the week, or just once a month, meal planning presents the homemaker with her best opportunities to express her talent. And today's modern world offers the widest variety, the greatest selection, and the most delicious possibilities imaginable. Most meals start with an idea, usually an idea about meat. It's hard to beat the sizzling aroma of lamb chops. Or what about meatloaf with a fresh twist called lamb loaf? And lamb shish kebabs will bring real life to an evening on the patio. Has your family tried lamb stew lately? Make plenty because it's good as a leftover dish too. Also, there's an unlimited selection of delicious roasts, like this leg of lamb, or this tempting rolled shoulder roast, and even this, the gourmet's choice, the Royal Crown lamb roast. All are available at your market throughout the year. For a satisfying combination of economy, variety, quality, and palatable pleasure, remember there's nothing like lamb. The variety is almost endless. Roast lovers will find many delicious lamb cuts that roast superbly. The leg, for example, is more than just a leg of lamb. Your meat man can provide you with a long leg, and you'll be able to serve lamb sirloin roast and a leg of lamb roast. And the loin section produces the delicious tender loin chops. This portion of the lamb produces the rack roast, and when 2 or 3 are used, the result is the crown roast. This, called the breast section, produces riblets and spare ribs. The shoulder section provides familiar round bone and blade bone chops, the square shoulder roast, and the rolled and tied shoulder roast. One of the delightful things about lamb is that preparation of nearly all roasts is almost identical. This rolled shoulder roast can be purchased ready to cook at your meat market. All you need to do is place it on a rack in a shallow roasting pan, sprinkle it lightly with salt and pepper, and insert the meat thermometer. It's ready to roast. One of the secrets of cooking successfully with lamb is the use of low heat. Almost all of the lamb roasts should be cooked at 325 degrees for about 30 minutes per pound. But to be safe, to make certain that your roasts are cooked properly, use an accurate meat thermometer. When it registers 170 degrees, the meat will be done, but a bit rare. Use the thermometer even when lamb is cooked on a barbecue grill. You'll like the results. Other cuts of lamb you'll enjoy preparing as well as eating include the leg roast. Remember, ask for the long leg. You'll have a sirloin roast for another festive meal on another day. All you need to do is to wrap it in a good grade freezer paper, tape it, and it can be stored for nearly as long as you wish until you need it. But fresh lamb should be cooked as soon as possible, and preparing it is always a simple matter. All high-quality lamb has a smooth covering of pinkish white fat, over which is a thin paper-like covering called the fell. Under most conditions, it should not be removed from any roast. It helps the cut hold its shape and retain the natural juices for a better tasting roast. When inserting the thermometer, be sure not to let the bulb touch the bone or rest in fat. Then, cook in a slow oven at no more than 325 degrees until the thermometer registers 170 to 180 degrees, depending on your taste and preference. Stew meat comes from the breast section and the shank end of the leg, and lamb stew is an old friend at any dinner table. To prepare stew, brown the lamb cubes carefully in a small amount of cooking oil and add your favorite combination of vegetables. Cover the pan tightly and simmer. Better fix plenty, because the stimulating aroma of lamb stew does something exciting to the appetite. It'll be a surprise if you have any left, but if you do, good for lamb. Leftover lamb stew is good reheated or as a new dish in disguise. One of the favorite leftover dishes is lamb pot pie. While the stew is warming in a 450-degree oven, prepare the biscuits. Then, add the biscuits to the top of the bubbling stew and bake for about 20 minutes. Results? A perky new dish from a dependable old favorite. Other use-again lamb dishes include cold sliced lamb sandwiches, great for lunchbox excitement. And for a hot meal, without that warmed-over taste, how about hot lamb sandwiches, made with last night's main dish and piping hot, rich lamb gravy. Curries and many casserole dishes can also be made with leftover lamb. For other quick-to-fix, economical lamb meals, try one of the many possibilities with ground lamb. Lamb burgers with all the trimmings will go a long way to satisfy the most critical group of guests. And an economical, always tasty lamb loaf will suit your family fine any evening of the month. To prepare lamb loaf, just add minced onions, dry breadcrumbs, a little evaporated or fresh milk, and seasoning to a pound of ground lamb. Preheat the oven to 325 degrees while you mix these ingredients in a medium-sized bowl. Then shape into 4 individual rectangular loaves and bake. They'll be done in about 40 minutes. When served with curried peas or your favorite vegetable, you'll find the taste deliciously different and a favorite to add to your recipe box. One ground lamb dish may be new to you. It's called the Scotch roast and combines ground lamb with a whole breast of lamb. Seasoned to taste, the ground lamb is stuffed into a pocket in the breast of lamb, and it may be baked, or you might like to freeze it, then slice for broiling. Tempting? Of course. All lamb is. But experiment with lamb in any of your favorite meals, like a party dish of special lamb spaghetti sauce. The spicy taste and zesty aroma come from a combination of lamb, tomatoes, garlic, onion, and oregano. It's easy to prepare. Just brown the meat, add the spicy mixture of herbs and vegetables, and let it simmer for about 45 minutes. Then surprise the spaghetti with a new sauce. And you'll be surprised at the wide variety of lamb available at your market. Most cuts are in the cooler, but when you're ready for a special cut, your meat man can have it for you in a few minutes. It takes special skill to prepare cuts like the famous crown roast. 2 or 3 rack roasts are bent outward and stitched together to form the crown. And be sure to request Frenched rib ends for a special touch by you in your own kitchen. Again, preparation of lamb, even the most elaborate dish, is very simple. As with the other roasts, just sprinkle the crown with salt and pepper. Place a good meat thermometer between the ribs and roast with your favorite dressing. Bake the dressing in a separate moisture-holding foil at the same 325-degree temperature. About 30 minutes before the roast is done, fill the crown with stuffing. Return it to the oven and wait for the thermometer to reach 170 to 175 degrees for medium doneness or 180 degrees for a well-done roast. When the desired temperature has been reached, remove the roast and place it in a warm spot in the kitchen. Let it stand for approximately 15 or 20 minutes. This gives the meat a chance to firm up. It'll make carving much easier, and it gives you time to take care of the last-minute details of your dinner. Cooking lamb is fun, and the rules are simple. Roast at 325 degrees, and for best results, use a meat thermometer with a final temperature between 170 and 180 degrees. Season to your own taste, and cook all the varieties of lamb to suit any occasion and the most selective tastes. Cook indoors or on the barbecue grill. Cook more than enough stew, because it makes such good second meals. And trust your meat man. He knows plenty about meat. When you call, "Dinner's ready," serve the modern meat, lamb.
Tell your meat man that you want the modern meat, lamb. It's interesting they don't say butcher. I'm wondering if that's because there was a technical definition of a butcher, and that they know that some places don't have butchers. I don't know. I have no idea. There's a whole thing about butchers. Yeah, at one point I made some really delicious kofta burger with lamb and beef and all these spices. It was really, grilled them up. It was really good. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you so much for keeping me bathed in coffee with all your donations. Means a great deal. And also just having you watch and comment and share, it also means a great deal. So thank you so much for that. Join us tomorrow, 1 o'clock. We'll watch some more films. I just posted a list to the comments on YouTube and Facebook. We've watched 360 films in 12 weeks, and we're just going to keep going. So thank you again, and I shall see you again soon. Have a good rest of the day.